So another chance to catch up from the couch, because that's how we do business these days. I've been out walking the streets, as is good for our health, and I'm pretty happy with the city. But I thought to ask a key person about Dunedin itself is worth it. The Mayor, Mr. Aaron Hawkins. Thank you so much for your time.
Kia ora, Grant. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. Look, it's great to actually get a bit of your time. I'm sure it's a very busy role. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dunedin's doing pretty good. Give or take the occasional minister, we're doing what we're told, and we've got this level 3, level 4 business sorted. What's been your impression of our behaviour, I suppose, so far?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm comfortable that, by and large, as you say, people have taken this as seriously as we've been asked to, and as we should be taking it. Of course, I've been doing what I've been told and keeping to my neighbourhood here in Port Chalmers, so it's been difficult to get a sense of what's going on across the city, across the district, in a way that ordinarily you might in civil defence type situations. But we've been in regular contact with our area commanders, district commanders at the police who do have that high level view, and they've been broadly happy with the way that people have responded. I think what makes me nervous about the transition to level 3 is, because we've done as well as we have by taking it as seriously as we have over the past few weeks, and because there are more people out going to work, people have a greater degree of freedom of movement, if you like, and this odd summery weather that we appear to be having, there is a risk, I think, that we blow it, for want of a more technical term, by relaxing too quickly. I mean, I think the key for the next 2 or 3 weeks, however long we end up in level 3, is for as many people as possible to continue to act the same way that they have for the past 4 or 5 weeks, with the added bonus of being able to get someone else to cook for you now. And that's how we will build on the success of our public health response and get to something closer to resembling normal, which is what level 2 and eventually level 1 will be. Because the worst thing for us, not just socially but economically, would be if we do get flare-ups further down the line and end up back in a lockdown containment strategy. That would be that's a huge risk for us that I think we need to be conscious to avoid.
They did say that it's worse going back up a level from there. I liken it to managing an errant 13-year-old girl. In that regard, give a little bit more, they take more, things unravel. It's interesting that you say that, reporting in from port, that things go well. I can tell you that Tainui Anderson's Bay, looking good, but you're right, I miss seeing other parts of the city. In autumn, one of my favourite streets here is Anzac Ave. Beautiful with the trees changing, and I haven't been here, and so that I miss, but we are very much in our own little bubble, seeing what's happening locally. So it's an interesting point that you make.
I had to go into town to run some errands yesterday, actually, and collect some groceries. And on the way back, there was a very hard-working contractor clearing the autumnal backlog at Queen's Gardens. For similar reasons. But it's quite overwhelming. I found it quite overwhelming being back in town, actually, after 5 weeks sort of stuck out here. It's funny how quickly you adapt to your new situation.
And you miss it. But with that adaptation, we've learned some new tricks, and Zoom is one for me. What have you seen that are the good things that have come out of this sort of forced enclosure that people have adopted, or maybe for yourself? What new tricks?
Yeah, certainly it's a big moment for video conferencing software at the moment when people can't meet in person, and I sit on committees for local government at a national level where otherwise we would all be corralled to Wellington for our monthly meeting, and despite suggestions to the contrary, I've always been told that that's how it needs to be, and it turns out it doesn't actually. And rather than finishing the meeting and spending another 5 hours getting back home, I can just leave my office and get on with something else. And so those sorts of things have been a bonus. It's not it's not a substitute for face-to-face human interaction and human conversation. I think technology has a long way to go for it to replace that. But I certainly think that more people have become more aware of the capacity of the technology that we do have to facilitate more of this stuff without requiring people to travel all over town or all over the country to be able to have a conversation like we're having now.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something that could be adapted. More people perhaps working from home. We've always been very proud of the city here, and supporting local was always something you've heard, and maybe people make a point of. A lot more focus on it now. The Dunedin Store.nz website is one. What would you like to see businesses do, or people interact with businesses more because of this new focus on local?
Yeah, I think if ever there was a moment for us to be parochial about how we do business and where we spend our money, then this is the time to do that. It's been a hard couple of months for business, and now that, particularly now that we're in level 3 and more businesses have the opportunity to be able to trade or have been able to pivot their operating model to operate safely, then those of us who have a choice about where we spend our money, I think, should be looking a lot closer to home to be able to support those businesses and keep people in work in the city at a time when that is increasingly difficult. So the Dunedin Store is a project that the council set up with the support of the Commerce and the ODT, and it's a pretty simple format. It's a searchable directory. You can go to, as you say, dunedinstore.nz, look up hospitality businesses or tradespeople and find out who's working, how they're working, what they're offering, what their hours of operation are, and use that as a way of finding local suppliers. And for businesses, it's free to use and register. So why wouldn't you? I think we've got close to 500 businesses signed up as of yesterday, 20,000 page views since it was launched on Thursday. There certainly seems to be an appetite on both sides of that equation to support our local economy as much as we can, and particularly in the months that are coming.
And I think one of the things that is supporting it is there's a lot more riding on it, but people have realised what's relying on it. You know, in our business, there are suppliers and tradespeople that we use. It's like a tree of business, but everybody now gets that by supporting the florist, by using that product over the other, has a real impact. It is a job or a small business owner or medium, you know, that kind of thing. I think the pennies dropped, and I hope a little more. So in terms of new habits and new things, under lockdown, have you found yourself, are you the home baker? Are you the DIYer? What things have been taken on the local front for yourself?
I'm a very reluctant gardener, Grant, but after 5 weeks, you kind of run out of excuses for not making more of an effort and dealing with that green waste pile that's been building up for however long. The hedge got its annual haircut, that sort of thing. But I appreciate that I'm in a better situation than a lot of people, but it's hard, you know. We have a 4-year-old son who's a very active and social human being, and my wife and I both are working from home or trying to work from home and juggle the needs of being suddenly being an early childhood teacher, as well as trying to get the work done that you need to get done. And I think it's important for people, when we talk a lot about how everyone's working from home, I think it's important for people to go easy on themselves in terms of what their expectations are of themselves, because, you know, if we're honest with ourselves, none of us are as productive or as efficient when we're in this situation, particularly people who are also looking after parents or children or dependents of some sort, because you've just taken on another job on top of everything else that you're already doing. So and over time, that can be quite stressful. But we've managed. This is day 41 now, I think, of us in this situation. But no, I haven't learned a second language or taught myself how to juggle. You know, it's been an opportunity missed in that regard, maybe.
I would imagine you're juggling just enough things, but you're right. It is a course of stress for a lot of people that they need to do this, but I've got this doing, or I've got that other thing there. It compiles it. So it hopefully has taught us to manage those things, but new tricks as well. I think the local gardens will be looking fantastic, that odd jobs around houses will be done. So we should be looking at our very best coming out of this as well. And yeah, you've counted the days. I haven't. I rely on other people to tell me where
is house paint being ordered in the room next door as I speak, Grant? So
yes, there will be a lot of that, which will be good. It's a chance without excuses now, or less excuses to do them. You've been very generous with your time. You have a city to run and things to operate as well. So I'll let you get back to that important work, and let's get ourselves back to the new normal, perhaps. But for now, Your Worship, Linda, thank you very much for your time. Aaron, enjoy and stay safe.
Kia ora, Grant. Great chatting.